my name is Phoebe, and I'm one of the summer school ambassadors. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and for the summer of 2024, I studied abroad at LSE for summer sessions 1 and 2. I had such a great time at LSE, and I'm really excited to share my top 3 tips for what you should consider when getting ready for LSE Summer School. Our first is going to be logistics, second is going to be talking about activities, and third is going to be about your mindset. So let's hop right into the first topic. First thing I want to talk about within logistics is about your accommodation. So after you finalize your accommodation, I think it's really important to find the exact routes from your accommodation to the LSE campus, whether that is by tube or taking the bus or even walking. I would say some tips is that for the tube, you could have an Oyster card, or you can also pay with Apple Pay if that's what your preferred preference is. You can also tap in or pay for the bus when you board. Another big tip I would have is don't be afraid to walk. So personally, I walked every day from my residence at Urbanist Westminster across the river and across the bridge to the LSE campus. And that was really nice being able to, take in the weather every day. So that is something to note. Another thing I want you to remember is that, yes, London is a metropolitan city, so people do walk relatively fast. So that is a tip if you're coming from somewhere that maybe, you walk a bit slower or you're not used to the pace, but that's something you'll definitely get the hang of as you have your weeks here out in London during summer school. And then once you do arrive in London, I think it's also really important to actually walk the path or take the route that you would do every day as you're commuting to class. So I found time the day before summer school started to just, walk from my residence or figure out all the tube lines and how everything worked before the first day. So it's a lot easier for you once, you get to the actual first day of school. You don't have to worry about the stress of commuting or transportation. You can just enjoy your first day and meet a bunch of new people. So the next thing that I want to talk about is specifically packing. So I know it's pretty hectic figuring out, you're going to go abroad, going to be in London for a couple weeks. What should you bring and what you shouldn't bring? What I did is that I would bring a couple of things that were necessities. So let's say that's like basic toiletries, your toiletry bag that you can just bring into the bathroom, makes it a lot easier, as well as just, of course, clothing. So with clothing, you want at least, I would say, one nicer outfit in case there are any evening events. Or if you want to go out with friends and go to a nice restaurant, those always come in handy. Another big thing is an umbrella. So with the London summers, usually it is pretty hot and there's a lot of great sun in my experience, but there were days that were super rainy all of a sudden. So you can either, bring an umbrella, or if you just want to buy a pretty cheap one when you're out there in the city as well, once you land, that is also an option. You also want, of course, your important documents, whether that is your passport, any visa, having emergency cash on hand. Those are always really important. In terms of school materials, I would say it's pretty simple. You really do just need a laptop and maybe a notebook if you prefer to take notes on paper, an iPad if you prefer that. And for any classes, they may have, I would say, more math, whether that is like economics or any things like that. You may want to bring your own little calculator that could help you on during your exams. And in terms of things that I purchased upon arrival, so I would say these are things that you definitely want to leave back at home just to save space in your luggage, because obviously you're going to be buying a lot once you are in London. Those things will be things like laundry pods, dryer sheets, any simple cleaning supplies if you want to, clean things down beforehand, you can buy, when you're in London, as well as just like shampoo, conditioner, body wash. That is all things you can get at any store or supermarket out there. And my last tip for this section is just budget accordingly. As you probably have done your research or heard about from your family and friends, London is on the pricier side as a city, and so you definitely need to keep in mind that if you do have a budget, or if you want to be kind of within a spending limit, you should kind of plan accordingly in your head how much you want to allocate for each thing. So the LSE Summer School team does recommend around £40 per day is kind of like the average cost that you would be spending as you're out and about. So the next big topic or section that I want to talk about, and that you're probably wondering about, is the activities. So I feel like this is one of the best parts about being in London. It's the amount of things that you can do, whether it is within LSE or outside of LSE. Event bookings will open at 12 p.m. BST UK time, exactly 2 weeks before the event is due to happen. Before that, you'll get a catalog or a link to a website with all the lists of the events that are going to be opening soon and when they will open, as well as kind of what each of those events will entail. In terms of the activities that I attended, so I did the classic boat party, which you definitely don't want to miss out on. There's also a Windsor day trip that I went on, as well as the Harry Potter Universal Studios tour. Some tips or things to note, I would say, is that activities do sell out relatively fast, so make sure you want to take note in advance, which ones that you really want to go to, which date and times they will be released, and right when the clock hits, get on that website and purchase your tickets. Another big thing that you should keep in mind is that you may have some worries about, hey, I don't know if I can attend this later on, or you're kind of hesitant on buying a ticket because you're not sure of your schedule. A really good thing is that you can actually sell your ticket to another student if something comes up. A lot of that coordination happens either through LSE platforms or through like WhatsApp. So make sure to definitely get a WhatsApp account or profile, just so you can communicate with other students. The next thing is that you should really take the time to sit down before you depart and get on that plane to London, and write down what you want to see and do. There's so much to do, whether it is in the UK or in the surrounding areas or countries. For example, things that I would say that I did when I was in London and really made note to do is go to Harrods. So that's the department store out here in London. They have a really famous and nice food court, and really cool stores. Next thing are explore the neighborhoods. So there are so many neighborhoods that I ended up kind of going on day trips to or exploring during the weekends, or even the weekdays when I was off from class, that I would have not known if I did not do the research. So the last big tip or topic that I want to talk about is coming in with an open mindset. I think coming in to study abroad with a great attitude opens up so much different avenues that you won't even imagine until you actually, get to experience those things. Whether you get to make friends from around the world, since, LSE Summer School is such an international audience and program, as well as just, of course, learning and taking advantage of great faculty and esteemed professors, allowing yourself to kind of be uncomfortable in these situations and having these new experiences is going to propel yourself more than you think, right? But do remember that you don't want to pressure yourself to make your summer school experience a specific way or particular experience. I think we're all different people with different wants and needs, and so make sure it is exactly what you want and you do exactly what you want to make the best and most out of your summer. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great time at LSE Summer School, even though it's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking, or very nerve-wracking if anything, as you get closer to the day of. I'm sure as long as you put your best foot forward, you're going to have an absolutely great experience. Good luck and have a great summer.